Hey guys, this is Adam with Dusterhoff Racing. Today we're going to show you how to install the Blueprint intake manifold. This intake manifold comes as part of our DT605 package, but can also be purchased separately. The intake manifold comes from Blueprint with the fuel rails, the gaskets, and the hardware to mount it. We also offer an optional install kit that includes the rest of the fittings needed to complete the installation. This install takes about 4 hours depending on experience. The intake manifold we offer works with 5.7, 6.4, and 6.1 heads. By itself, pairing this manifold with a stock cam, you'll actually have a loss in power. This intake truly shines when paired with a cam upgrade where you can expect to see 20 to 30 horsepower gains depending on your setup. We always recommend pairing this manifold with a cam upgrade. Feel free to reach out to us or drop a comment if you have any questions. Note for fitment, 6.4 vehicles will need to change their cold air intake to the 5.7 style. For this reason, we include the JLT cold air intake in our DT605 Power Package. We're doing this installation on a 2021 Challenger Scat Pack. First step is to disconnect and isolate the negative battery cable. Followed by removing the coil covers. These won't fit with the Blueprint intake manifold. Next, you can remove the cold air intake. Remove the catch can if you've got one installed. Now you can disconnect the wiring harness from the intake manifold. Remove the fuel line and put a cap on. This will prevent fuel from spilling when you pull the intake manifold off. You could remove the intake mounting bolts. Now you can lift the intake manifold and pull it forward so you can access the vacuum line for the brake booster. Now you can start pre-assembling the Blueprint intake manifold. Remove the plug that comes with the manifold and you'll be putting your factory map sensor right here. Trim down one of the 90-degree fittings so that when you spin it on the intake manifold, it clears the runner. Remove the fuel rail mount so that you can install this fitting. I leave it facing out so that it's easier to install the line and then you can clog it where you want later. Next, we'll install the fuel injectors. Next, I install the fuel rail mounting brackets. And then you can drop the fuel rails down onto the injectors. Then you can install the fittings for the fuel line crossover on the front of the manifold. Install the end cap on the passenger side end of the fuel rail. The fuel line connector goes on the driver's side. Install the O-ring for the throttle body. Line the throttle body up with the appropriate mounting holes. And make sure that no part of the O-ring is visible from the outside. Now you can attach the fuel line that goes on the front of the rails. The line comes from blueprint a little long and it would press against the valley of the block, so I cut 1.5 inches to 1 3/4 off. Now you can flip the manifold over so that you can put in the rest of the fittings. The two 90-degree fittings and the set screw come in our kit. The straight fitting comes with the blueprint kit. Now we'll start pre-plumbing the vacuum lines. Here's a reference to show where they're going to go. The line from the oil fill runs underneath the manifold to the PCV valve and then is going to go to the catch can. The front fitting on the bottom runs to the other side of the catch can. These two would run together if you didn't have a catch can. The straight fitting in the center runs to the evap. I use the original 90-degree rubber connector to connect it. And the rear one goes into the brake booster. Next we'll install the gaskets. I like to use the factory Mopar ones. They fit a little bit better than the blueprint ones. If you use the blueprint ones, you can use a little dab of RTV to keep them secured when you flip the manifold over. Now you're ready to install the intake manifold, making sure none of the runner gaskets or PCV gaskets fall off. Now you can install the supplied mounting bolts and torque them to 9 foot-pounds. Reinstall your oil catch can if you've got one. And you can hook up the lines. Start reconnecting the wiring harness. Now you can turn that 90-degree fitting inward, and that's going to go into the cold air intake. Reconnect the fuel line. The brake booster line goes to the rear 90-degree fitting. The short runner valve connector will no longer be used, but make sure you do connect the map sensor that's at the back of the intake manifold. Now you can reinstall your cold air intake. This JLT comes with our DT605 package. Pull some slack in the harness so that the throttle body connector can reach. And then you can either extend or buy an extension for the intake air temp sensor. Now the installation is complete and you're ready for tuning. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, we do have more installation videos, so feel free to check those out as well. And if you have any questions about these parts or any of our other performance parts, reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to help.